Good morning. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to the Hilton Hotel. Can we just quickly give ourselves a round of applause? Ladies and gentlemen, standing right in front of you is Kenisha Evanson. I am actually with the Women in Mining Association of Namibia. I'm honored to be your master of ceremony for the Women in Mining Association of Namibia event in partnership with the Consolidated Corpus Corp. This program is held in alignment with the International Day of Women in Mining, celebrated globally on the 15th of June. Can we then please give another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? I think everyone is here, and then we're going to immediately dive into the program for today. Everyone, can I just say, everyone looks stunning, everyone looks beautiful. I'm actually honored to be standing here and to be your Masters of Ceremony if I have to repeat it again. We will then just continue. Allow me to acknowledge all esteemed dignitaries present. Honorable Cornelia Shilunga, Executive Director, Mr. Ben Nekombe, CEO, Mr. George Sise, President of the Women in Mining Association of Namibia, Ms. Senzi Avases, and distinguished guest, all protocol observed. Another round of applause, please. Today we celebrate collaboration, inclusion, leadership in an industry that is shaping Namibia's future. It is now my pleasure to officially begin the proceedings by inviting our very first speaker for today's program, who will be Honorable Cornelia Shilunga, Special Advisor to the President and Patron of the Women in Mining Association of Namibia, to deliver the official welcoming remarks. Can we please give a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen?
Thank you very much, Director of Ceremonies. Honorable Gaudentia Krone, the Deputy Minister of Industry, Mines and Energy. I'm not seeing her in the room, but I can as well just recognize her in absentia. Mr. Ben Nangombe, Executive Director for the Ministry of Industry, Mines and Energy. Mr. John Sisai, the Chief Executive Officer for the Consolidated Copper Corporation. Madam Zenzi Avases, the President of the Women in Mining in Namibia. Mr. George Bochiwe, President of the Chamber of Mines and the CEO of the QKR. Mr. Veston Malango, CEO, Chamber of Mines. The Women in Mining Association EXCO members, Madam Norandopu and Madam Charlotte Williams. Mr. Banle Jaide from the Consolidated Copper Corporation. Dr. Gabi Schneider, the Executive Director of Namibian Uranium Institute. Professor Harmony Musiarira, the Executive Director for the Facility of Engineering at NAST. Partners in the education, mining, and community sectors, and most importantly, the women in mining, young professionals, students, and future leaders who brought us here today. Esteemed guests present here and those that are joining us virtually, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Are we surviving the cold? Very good. It is truly an honor to stand with you on this historic occasion as I welcome you this morning, and at the same time, we are launching a mentorship and coaching platform that does more than build careers as it builds futures. Celebrating women in mining and welcoming the Consolidated Copper Corporation as a visionary partner. This is not just a launch, it's a moment to celebrate the work already done and the future that is being built. Women in Mining Namibia was founded in the year 2017, and it has grown from grassroots network into Namibia's national voice for women in mining, from professionals in all mining fields, engineers, geologists, metallurgists, safety officers, senior managers, and gemstone traders. Through advocacy, Women in Mining Association Namibia has uplifted women, participated in policy reform engagement, and built really change where it counts and on the ground. Ladies and gentlemen, Consolidated Copper Corporation, one of Namibia's mining firms, has shown what the private sector can achieve when equity becomes part of core business strategy. They are investing in people and not just in projects. This is a fine example of partnership, a partnership that empowers the growth and development of individuals and businesses across the whole supply chain. Namibia is already leading the way on gender equality. We are not starting from scratch, and I really mean we are not. We are building on a proud foundation of Namibia leadership. If I can just take you a little bit back to when we started. We started as a women desk in the office of the president. By then, the office of the founding president, Dr. Sem Shafishuna Nujoma. May his soul rest in peace. When we started, it all started from the Beijing Platform of Action, and that has taken place in 1995, when women of the world met in Beijing to put up a platform of action for the women to be recognized, to be empowered, and mostly to take part in decision-making. So when we were done with the Beijing platform, there was now a directive to say each and every government needs to come up with a woman desk, to which our president, by then the founding president, agreed. And then he put up a woman desk in his office. So I'm very privileged enough because I was among the pioneers. So we were only 9 when we started the desk in the office of the president by then. So when it was not easy, it was very difficult. And when we started, we were all being seen. So these are the women that want us to change nappies. These are the women that want us to do women's work. And we were trying to explain to them to say biological differences were not included in what we were advocating for. But it was not easy. But we grew from strength to strength because the president was protective enough. And he made sure that we are in his office. And every time we were to be introduced, he would make it a point to do it himself. And there is where we started. After that, we then started to grow, and we grew to the Department of Women Affairs. Later, it became a Ministry of Women Affairs. And then the men started to complain, if it is Women Affairs, we are not included. And then we were saying, you are included because we are your mothers, and we are your sisters, and we are your wives. But that was not enough. And men kept to complain, and therefore it was then changed to the Minister of Gender Equality and Child Welfare, so that everybody could feel included. And that is where we are until today. So I was very privileged, and I know that history very well. The aim was to bring about gender equality and empower women in all spheres. To put the icing on the cake, in the year 2012, the SWAPO party, which is a ruling party, has come up with the resolution of a 50-50 representation in all the structures of the party. That did not only work wonders in the party, but it also had spillovers to government and also to some other private structures. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to dwell too much in the past, but I would want to bring you to the present this year in March. His Excellency Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah became the Namibia's first female president, a defining moment for this country, for the SADC region, for Africa, and the world. And at the same time, in March, Her Excellency appointed Honorable Lucia Vetboy as the first female vice president of the Republic of Namibia. Concurrently, Her Excellency also facilitated that our Honorable Sarah Kugongero Amadira, our former first female prime minister, has once again broken ground and being elected as the female speaker of the National Assembly. I'm talking about the women of Namibia. Through the zebra style championed by SWAPO, Namibia has become a model for gender-balanced political representation. If we have managed to effect all those structures with gender equality at political and government level, it only means every company leadership team can build an equal balance, where every male mine manager is matched by a female leader. If every CEO knew that the future of their company could be led by a woman, from the pit to the boardroom, this is not a fantasy, but the future we are capable of building, where women and men together lead the way. Are we prepared, men? Are you prepared to carry the women alongside? The decade of women in mining, this is the decade. The world is catching up to something Namibia women have always known. Progress is only real when it includes us as women. Namibia's mining sector contributes over 10% to GDP, and it has the power to lift thousands more out of poverty if that growth is inclusive. But the reality is, fewer than 1 in 5 mining jobs are held by women in Namibia. And the representation of women drops sharply when it comes to technically and leadership roles. With over 60% of Namibia's population under 30, the opportunity is clear. Invest in young women, and we don't fill jobs, we shape an entire generation of leaders, and this is grounded in reality. Across regions, from Tsumeb to Karibib to Uis, women are already active in mining as gemstone traders, as geologists, as engineers, as junior geologists, as heavy machine operators, and executive committee members. But they face barriers: limited access to funding, technical training, workplace equity, and visibility. This program is designed for those realities, not just academic theory. It's about equipping women for the real challenges and real opportunities on the ground. Ladies and gentlemen, the mentorship and coaching program, what does this platform unlocks and what does it entails? You can't become what you can't see, and that is why mentorship matters. This platform connects women across all stages of their careers, from students to CEOs, with experienced mentors and leadership coaches. As a patron of Women in Mining Association of Namibia, I'm extremely proud of the WiMAN team for designing such a platform, in that it is formed by consultation with academics, young professionals, and mining employers, ensuring it reflects really world needs. Mentorship and coaching will help equip women in the mining sector by providing them with the skills, confidence, and networks needed to thrive in a traditionally male-dominated industry. It's a self-sustaining intergenerational network where today's mentees become tomorrow's mentors, reinforcing a culture of growth, sisterhood, and shared leadership. Powered by Consolidated Copper Corporation, Joya Pioneers platform, the initiative is accessible, it is trackable, and future-focused. We are not mentoring women so they can fit into the mining sector as it is, but we are mentoring them to transform it. It's about growth and advancement expansion, increasing of production prosperity that rises to success. The mentorship program is aligned with government priorities. When I say this platform reflects national goals, I really mean that. Vision 2030 calls for full gender equality and inclusive industrial development. Harambee Prosperity Plan number 2, that spans from 2021 to 2025, prioritizes youth employment, local value chains, and gender mainstreaming in economic sectors. The National Gender Policy emphasizes women's leadership, especially in non-traditional sectors like mining. NDP 5 focused on reducing unemployment through skills development and youth-focused industrialization. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, in the bigger picture, it means for Namibia, every woman empowered through this program is one more leader for Namibia. One more entrepreneur, one more voice in the boardroom, safety briefings, classrooms, community meetings, and the general society. Inclusive mining isn't a box-ticking exercise. It is an engine for job creation, stronger local economies, higher productivity, sustainable and community-led growth, and shared prosperity. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, if we get this right, Namibia will not just be known for our mineral resources, but we will also be known for the women leadership that we provide. Observing International Day for Women in Mining will be Sunday, June the 15th. And that marks an International Day of Women in the mining sector. It's a day when women are recognized for their achievement without regard to divisions, whether national, ethnic, linguistic, cultural, economic, or political. The day aims to raise awareness about the challenges and opportunities that are faced by our women working in the mining sector and to promote gender equality and inclusivity in the industry. So this launch of the Women in Mining Association of Namibia Mentorship Program could not have come at a better time, but during the time we are celebrating the women in mining. May we applaud our women in mining. Congratulations and enjoy the celebration, though it will be It will be happening on a Sunday. Ladies and gentlemen, in closing, is a call to possibility. Let this be the beginning of a mentorship and a coaching program. Let today's mentees become tomorrow's mentors. Let today's platform become tomorrow's pipeline for equality, equity, excellence, and for enduring transformation. To every girl in a science class, every woman in a mine shaft, every entrepreneur at a roadside stand, this is your decade. And we will walk with you every step of the way. Of course, with the men to support us. As your mothers, as your wives, as your daughters, as your sisters. And lovely daughters for that matter, because men like their daughters so much. Please support us. So, having said that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you all to this very important event marking the mentorship and coaching program for our women in mining. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to say this. We were having the Women in Mining Association of Namibia Eronko chapter conference last week, Saturday in Swakopmund, and I was a co-MC alongside my MC. And I was part of the second session of the conference, and I spoke after a powerhouse. And I mentioned at the conference that something about speaking after someone who brings some sort of power into a room, someone who leaves us with so much knowledge and wisdom and leaves an impact behind. So I have the tendencies of speaking after people that changes things in a room. So I'm truly honored. Thank you so much, Honorable Cornelia. Another round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, next on our program, which is the opening remarks, allow me to welcome Mr. Ben Nokombe, Executive Director and Accounting Officer, Ministry of Industry, Mines and Energy, to share his opening remarks, please. Another round of applause.
Thank you very much, moderator. Good morning, everyone. I want to see some women energy in here, please. Yeah, no, thank you very much for the podium to deliver opening remarks at this rather historic event, the launching of a mentorship program for women in mining in Namibia, whose acronym is so interesting. Women in mining in Namibia, and if you don't listen carefully, you will hear women, right? Very interesting coincidence. I'm standing here because the Honorable Deputy Minister of Industries, Mines and Energy, Honorable Krone, could not be here. So it was going to be another woman at the podium. But I am honored to stand in her shoes. Let me stand by the protocol as established, apart from recognizing Meme Cornelia Shilunga, the special advisor to the president and head of the upstream petroleum unit in the presidency. As indicated, I am Ben Nangombe, the executive director in the Ministry of Industries, Mines and Energy. And it's an honor for me to stand before you, the powerful women in mining and other attendants at this meeting. Now, yesterday, I had an engagement with the representatives of regional electricity distributors and other stakeholders in the electricity industry at the head office of the Ministry of Industries, Mines and Energy. So as the process unfolded, we were signing agreements so that the REDs could go and implement the rural and peri-urban electrification projects across the country. So after the signing of the agreements, even before, when I entered the room actually, I was looking on the other side where the representatives are sitting. And guess what? They were all men. They were all men. And I asked, if it is all men, where are the women? And somebody, probably not knowing that this event is taking place today, said, no, the women are in mining. I said, is that so? But then my retort was that, okay, the women could be in mining, but that's not enough, because women must be in electricity and other sectors. They must be everywhere. So I think it's therefore a fitting context to what we are doing here this morning. The women should not only be in mining, they must be everywhere. And I think that is also the message that Mayor Shirunga was conveying during her response. So to the women in mining, we want to see women everywhere, not only in mining, but even then, those that are in mining, the numbers, as Mayor Shirunga also indicated, may not necessarily be sufficient, and more needs to be done. So taking and looking at the work of your organization, to the extent that I read up on it as I was then assigned to come and deliver this statement, what I can say is that as executive director and accounting officer in the ministry that has a mandate on issues of mining, I am indeed eager to deepen my understanding of the work of this association and the support for the transformation that the association seeks to drive and bring about. Ms. Shirunga pointed out appropriately and fittingly that mining does play a very important role in Namibia's economy in terms of its contribution to the gross domestic product, in terms of job creation, in terms of fostering innovation, in terms of driving our national socio-economic development endeavors. But it's indicated this is a sector where gender disparities remain most pronounced. And that is a fact that we must contend with. Women are still underrepresented in the workforce in the mining sector, particularly in the technical leadership positions. And we must say this is not necessarily due to a lack of talent or ambition or ability, but rather constrained access, constrained opportunities, and what can be referred to as a persistent weight of outdated norms and traditions. We know that many Namibian women have got the qualifications, they've got the drive, they've got the leadership potential to thrive in the mining industry. Ms. Shirunga spoke about what has happened at government level, and that drive within the government to bring about gender equality remains fundamental across all pillars of the public sector. So what we need to do is to encourage more intentional efforts to recruit, to empower, and to fairly compensate women across all sectors. This must indeed ring true in all industries. And we are not only talking about inclusion stricto sensu, in the strict sense. We believe that the inclusion that we are talking about, of including women, providing for inclusion of women in the mining sector, it must ring deeper so that women are able to ascend leadership ladder and take up those roles, so that they are able to shape the industry, so that they are able to shape the decisions that are being taken in terms of leading and strategizing for the industry overall. We know that at present, the proportion of women in the boardrooms in the mining sector remains on the lower side. Similarly, fewer women are active in the mining supply chain. We are talking about beneficiation of the resources locally. Where are the women in that process? Are we making opportunities available for them to effectively participate? Are we dealing with the systemic barriers, such as limited access to funding, for example, for their participation in the procurement value chains? These barriers need to be dealt with, and the status quo necessarily must change. Women are the nurturers of our families. And if we don't provide them with the opportunities and the resources to be able to do that, that will have a direct negative impact on our families, on our communities, and on our country in general. So when we look at every stage of the mining process, whether it is from exploration to distribution, there are opportunities for greater inclusion. And if we are able to harness those opportunities, we will enable Namibia to strategically strengthen the entire industry. And women must be part and parcel of that effort. Yes, please. Give them a round of applause. They must be. Don't be shy about this. We are talking about transformation here. So we are saying, therefore, that mining companies, particularly, must have intentional programs to provide and create opportunities for women-owned businesses, so that you can empower them, so that you can integrate them into the mining supply chain, so that you can open avenues for empowerment and for innovation. We know that many a time we tend to always fall back to the default positions. Do the things as usual. The president has said that it's going to be business unusual going forward. So opportunities must be created so that the women can bring their unique and diverse perspectives and solutions to some of the complex challenges that we face. The women have an uncanny ability to identify solutions, to care. And not only to care at the family level, societal level, but also to care in terms of how do we handle our natural environment. And we need to create those opportunities for them to participate. So financial institutions in the broader industry must develop these targeted mechanisms for female entrepreneurs particularly to be able to effectively participate in the industry. The women, and I mean the WIAMAN, not the women as we have it, but the women, the association, have demonstrated an unwavering dedication to promote the interest of women in the sector, and their vision, which made it possible for us to come together here today. I'm glad that the activities are going on. The director of ceremony here indicated that there was another function at the coast. So the momentum is on, and this is very good. The momentum is on, and this is very good. So the vision that has brought us here today, the hard work, the advocacy, has been instrumental in advancing the quest of gender equality and promoting the participation of women in the mining industry. So that is why it is fitting that the patron of the association was given the platform to address the house here. And she gave an extensive account of what the association has done and why it is important and why it is that she has chosen to be associated with the association. We believe that, Ms. Shirunga, your continued support will embolden this organization, that it will serve to drive the purpose. So please, you have a passionate leader here, you have a passionate patron, give her a round of applause. I think what we need to again recognize is that the challenges that women face to their participation in the mining industry or other industries go beyond mere representation, but they are linked to some of the challenges that this association is seeking to address, mainly limited access to training, limited access to mentorship, and the whole question of maintaining work-life balance. These are real issues, and if we do not take positive action to deal with them, they are going to persist. That is why the event of today and the work of this association are very important. They speak to the power of proactive leadership. They speak to women not waiting for change, but taking deliberate steps to bring about the change that we want to see. So this groundbreaking mentorship program and coaching program is going to move mountains, in my humble view. It's the first of its kind in Namibia. It is a trailblazer on our continent, and we believe that if we are able to start here and expand further to the continent, expand further to the diaspora, we are going to bring about more and more positive development for the women all over the world. So, Ms. Shirunga spoke about the fact that we are looking at a whole broad range of categories of women, whether it is graduates from the universities, whether it is seasoned professionals in the industry, whether it is leaders, as it were, providing opportunities for mentorship and coaching is very important. Talking about the mentees of today becoming the mentors of tomorrow. And it is interesting that when we came in, I saw two young girls sitting at the back there. The girls said, please stand up. I don't know why you put them at the back. They should have been sitting here. Yeah. So it is so good to see you, to learn. Meshirunga said that you cannot become what you cannot see, but they are seeing what is happening here today. And they are taking the lessons. They are going to inspire others of what the possibilities are. So it's so good that you made time to come here. Yeah, thank you very much, and please take your seats. Yeah, give them a round of applause, please. Yeah. So whether it is now seasoned professionals in the industry, whether it is students, whether it is entrepreneurs, the mentorship program does speak to them. And it is important that we have this structured approach to this mentorship activity in order to break the barriers and accelerate the growth in careers of these people. And the benefits from this mentorship will go far beyond just individual development. They will have a cascade of positive impacts that can bring about real change as far as the participation of women in the mining industry and other sectors, as we said, is concerned. So we encourage, again, the mining companies to actively support this platform. I understand there is a new partner that came on board, Consolidated, what's the name of the Copper Consolidated entity? Yeah. So it just shows that there are more partners coming on board. And I think, give him a round of applause, the representative, please. Meshirunga spoke about International Women's Day in Mining, which is taking place on this Sunday. Again, it is an appropriate coincidence that this is happening. It will provide for time to reflect. It will provide for visibility of women in this sector. And we must take advantage of that to keep in mind that it's important to close the gender gap, not only as an ethical imperative, but also as an economic necessity. Because empowering women, as I said, will create so many spin-offs for our families, for our communities, and for our society at large. So when we talk about the participation and the inclusion of women in the mining sector and in other industries, it must be genuine inclusion. It must go deeper, not only to include superficially, but that there must be an engenderment of real belonging, that it must create a situation where the presence of women around the table actually matters. And it's not just a question of optics or aesthetics. So that the voice of the women around the table does carry weight, and that it has meaning, and that it would have impact. That the women must, in fact, have the ownership of the decisions that are being taken and the ability to shape the processes and the decisions that are being taken in the industry and everywhere. So I have the honor to wish all the women in the mining sector all the best as they celebrate the International Women in Mining Day. And we can only say, power to the women, indeed. So I wish to, again, really express and extend our best wishes for the success of this mentorship and coaching program, that it will have the necessary long-term impact, that it will have the needed outcomes, and we will witness the transformative impact that this program is going to have in terms of expanding the horizons for participation of women in the mining sector and other sectors of our economy, our society, and the world. With those words, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to declare this launching event of the mentorship program and coaching program for women in mining officially open. Thank you again to our mothers, sisters, and daughters. I thank you very much.
As the ED was speaking, I just came to a realization. I don't know if you guys realized, how many young people do we have in the room? How many students, how many graduates do we have in the room? Young people, are you guys scared to raise your hand? Show. Okay. As the ED was speaking, I came to a realization that young people, do you guys realize that we are in a room filled with high profile people? This is your chance to network. Please take those pictures. Take those LinkedIn pictures. Do not let this chance pass you by. This is a huge opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, please another round of applause for the ED. Next on our program, we will continue with the partners' remarks, speaking about people of high profile and people who leave impacts in others' lives. Our next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, I have searched him up myself, and I must say, young people, this is your chance. Now, I'm pleased to invite Mr. John Sisay, who is the CEO of Consolidated Corpus Corp, to speak on our partnership. Another round of applause, please.
Good morning. And fellow panelists, can I just say one of the problems of speaking after you've had two distinguished speakers before you is that they've made all the salient points. They've told all the jokes. I was saying to George earlier that we might as well throw our speeches away. But thank you all so much for coming here, and thank you so much for inviting us and allowing us to be partners in this very laudable progress. The reason why we're partners in this, I perhaps should speak from a management and an owner's point of view. We understand the importance of women in the mining sector. I mean, over the last 30 years of my experience in mining all over Africa, one thing that I've always realized is that if you want a sustainable, efficient, not too much palaver company, employ women. If you want efficiency in management meetings, in your executive functions, employ women. On every strata of mining, we found that where you get the women involved, the immediate society, the immediate community benefits, and the country will benefit at large. And if we're frank, us men in mining, and I can see my brother Zebra over there, we are a problem. Men, we are historically sexist, and we believe mining to be for men, especially when it comes to the technical aspects, your engineering, your geology, your mine planning. We always try to push the women to admin. Not that admin is not necessary or equal as important. HR, I see my excellent head of HR, Sonia, here. But for me, and I think for the women in mining, we want to see women progress through the technical aspect of mining, going to management. The best way, I think, in my experience, to help women progress in mining is to get out of the way as men. Allow women in those critical jobs where they also can employ without the tainted views of our sexism that we come with. In our best efforts, we're not as good at selecting other women like women are. And I'm proud of the company I lead here because I think we've got a great team of women. I see my chief operating officer. She's desperate to hide under a chair. She doesn't like public attention. In truth, she should be the one standing up here, but she doesn't like to speak in public. But I have so much respect for her, and I know that our company is going to do better because she's an excellent role model to other women, younger women coming up in the company. Now, the reality is that we all know that women are as capable as men. But to change the dynamic, you have to be proactive. It doesn't happen by osmosis. So from a management point of view, from a company point of view, you've got to introduce plans and programs to promote the women agenda, to select the women agenda, to create those role models. And that's why we're proud to be partners in this venture. Again, I'm also happy to see children in the background, although I'm a bit worried about children in mining has different connotations. Can we just be clear, they're here as visitors? They're not here as employees of any mining company at all. Now, Consolidated Copper, some of you might not be used to that name because locally we are known as Ongopolo Mines. And we're in the process of doing more drilling and hopefully restarting all 4 of the entities that we own here. Namibia as a country has its best days, in my view, for mining ahead. It's just that we currently face an uncertain global macroeconomic situation, but it will rationalize itself. And I think when that progress comes, the women have an integral part to play in realizing all that Namibia has to offer. And we are not doing this either because you now have a female president and we want to buy a good face. Although if she does watch this, we do want to buy a good face. But it's because I believe in it. I've seen it over the last 30 years. I've seen the difference that women make. I've seen the efficiency they bring and the delivery. And dare I say it, the integrity. I'm not suggesting that men are not integrous, but in certain aspects, I see the intense work and the caring. And if you study a lot of sectors in the mining, I started, for example, in the diamond buying business. The best diamond sorters and buyers were women in De Beers back in the days. The best operators, and this has been proven technically, in machinery are usually women. Surprisingly, the best truck drivers and haulage drivers are women. And you have less accidents when women are driving trucks through villages because they actually care. Men just want to get to the other point. So women have contributed phenomenally in mining over the years, just have not necessarily been recognized. And CCC is in no way the best example. We have a good intention, and we're part of this program to hopefully join our other mining companies to really support the effort. So I thank you all for being here today.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I proceed to the next item on the program, I'm actually realizing I haven't fully introduced myself, why I'm your Masters of Ceremony, and why I'm holding a mic and speaking. You guys might be wondering, who's this young lady? Where's she from? What is she doing here? And that also aligns with my next speaker that I'm going to be introducing. Not only is she the president of the Women in Mining Association of Namibia, but she's also my boss. I just want to quickly, if you'd allow me, just tell you why she's my boss. As a recent graduate, I graduated last year from the University of Namibia, and I'm currently a student, actually. I'm at NUST. I'm pursuing a degree in communications and distance learning, hence why I'm standing here talking, being your Masters of Ceremony. Beginning of this year, starting the year off as a recent graduate, knowing how youth unemployment rate is very high in Namibia, I told myself, apart from waking up in the morning as being unemployed and going on websites and applying to jobs, what else as young people can I do, or can we do as recent graduates? And I took a bold step. I then created or opened a LinkedIn account. LinkedIn is my best friend. That's why I always spearhead LinkedIn for the young people. And when I opened my LinkedIn account, I'm new to this platform. I know nothing about it, but I'm seeing a lot of nice, educated people with this corporate profile pictures, and I'm like, oh, is this for me? Maybe I must just go back to WhatsApp and the other social media platforms. But then I continued and I told myself, yes, I apply every day. When I come across a vacancy, I apply. What else is there? So I took a bold step and I told myself, I'm going to start individually message CEOs, MDs, corporate communication managers, and you name it, just asking for an opportunity. A salary is a bonus to me. Yes, I need a space to grow. I want a space to create a name for myself. And that's why I took this initiative to start to start messaging people via LinkedIn and just tell them about the little experience that I've gained, and I'm just looking for a space to grow. And Ms. Zenti actually was one of the people that I sent a message to. There are others, and some of them didn't come back to me, but I mean, it's okay, it's okay. And that's why I'm here today, and that happened back in February, actually. And Ms. Zenti gave me an opportunity. I mean, she left me hanging for 2 months, because she left me hanging for 2 months, and she gave me an opportunity that I will always be grateful for. I mean, I'm in my first year of communications, but here I am doing something that final years are supposed to do. And that comes with knowing what you want as a young person. I understand unemployment rate is high, but what else can you do? I mean, sometimes the door isn't closed, it's open, you just need to push the door. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce my next speaker, who's also my boss, Ms. Zenti Avases, President of the Women in Mining Association of Namibia, will present the association's vision. Another round of applause, please.
Good morning. I always say to Kenisha, for somebody who says, you want me to do what? To how natural she is behind this mic is amazing. Yeah, sure. These days when I stand behind this mic, on behalf of Women in Mining Namibia, I tend to cry. And I promise not to do it today, because we're in Hilton, isn't it? I'm supposed to look good, and then we're live streaming this NBC here, and I've got important people here, so I'm not gonna do that, but I blame the age. I think I'm getting old. So I'm gonna stand on the protocol that was so beautifully established. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. But today is a very deeply personal one for me. Not only because I'm the president of the Women in Mining Association of Namibia, but I'm also here as a mother and an aunt. And those children, John and everybody else who acknowledge them, are actually my kids. I'm joined here today by my son, Reagan, my nephew, Damien, my daughter, Malaika, her besties, Tuli and Imani. 3 young people whose presence is quiet but powerful. You don't have to run the slides, so it's fine. I think I'll just speak. Yeah. They are a powerful reminder of what this moment truly means. Because when we talk about mentoring and coaching, and especially women, and investing in the next generation, we are not speaking about abstract time. We are shaping this very sector, the very nation that our children will inherit. So I really thought it was important. So they weren't coerced. They came because they're going to have free food. But they really wanted to hear their mom up here. But I wanted them to also understand where this comes from. And allow me also, please, today to highlight the ones who've been standing. I call you guys my deputy parents. I dragged along the STEM teacher in primary school, Ms. Florence, along here as well, and as the primary school principal. So you can see what they do in high school. They're now high schoolers. My job here is to tell you a little bit more about the association. We've been talking about it, but I think I want to just give some depth to who we are and where we come from. The Women in Mining Association of Namibia is a non-profit organization, and I must stress that. We're an NGO. We are not, this is not a full-time job. I don't get paid to do this, but we're an NGO. We have dedicated to promoting and progressing the development of women in mining and mineral sector of Namibia. We were established in 2017, and how we were established was really, there was a conference held in 2017, beginning 2017, and this is after Honorable Shilunga was a speaker at the South African version of the Leadership Development for Women in Mining in South Africa. So usually on that slot, I think that was their 9th year, I believe it was. And I usually used to go to them because I was studying in South Africa. But Shilunga was a speaker. They have a slot there for neighboring perspective from neighboring, something like that. So Shilunga was the speaker because she was the Deputy Minister of Mines and Energy. And then she looks around, she goes, but wait, so this conference has been going on for 9 years. How come this is not in Namibia, right? So she basically said, you are coming to Namibia. She went knocking on Western and the Chamber of Mines' office and said, you are going to bring this conference to Namibia. And then in April that year, I believe it was, 10 mining companies actually bought into it. And we went to sit at Safari Hotel. It was called Safari back then. Now it's Mercure or something. And Movenpick, excuse me. And there, speaker after speaker was talking about who women in mining are. And then we realized when we looked around, we were over 100 of us there, 10 tables, 10 of each. We realized, but we've come a long way, but we've never really formalized ourselves. And I think it was when the statistics were flying up that I started saying, but hey, we cannot celebrate the fact that there's 10% women in leadership. And that 10%, when we unpack it, was 1 out of, I believe, 42 executives. And that one person was Mainge Samwani, who then, in fact, left to become the advisor to the then minister, president, late President Hage Geingob. We decided at the end of that session that we're going to formalize ourselves and group an organization, and they thought it was worthy for me to lead them. And initially when we started that year, we thought we were just going to be a small group, get together, but it snowballed in actually driving. We realized that no, we really need to make people understand as to what being a woman in mining is about. This whole, because there was, in fact, some of them would say, oh, so you want pink PPE? No, we don't want pink PPE. We want to have PPE that's actually meant for our body. So we started realizing that they were not being deliberate. They actually didn't know. And when I say they, I'm talking about the other gender, and that is the male. It was really they didn't know. And it was to be deliberate about educating them on what it is that we are trying to get at. I remember one specific incident was talking about, I think it was at the launch, so we're talking about the difference between diversity and inclusion. Because most of the mines, be it in Namibia, be it in South Africa, anywhere else in the world, were built with just men in mind. So in other words, a basic thing like a toilet or a changing room for females was not there. Initially they thought, but what's the big deal? And we're like, yeah. They later realized that we really need to have different changing rooms, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going off my speech. But since then, we have snowballed and become the fastest growing professional network for women in mining in the mining sector. This, and we are pioneers because at that point, we were the only group in any industry who was actually talking the talk when it comes to gender. To such a point where Western, at that point, was serving on a group called the Association of Chambers of Mines of Africa, of which he was, I think, something? President, yes, you were the president. And so at that point, Western was being harassed by his colleagues, like, where are the women in mining? And there was a reason. Because at that point, we were the youngest Women in Mining Association. We had a group from Tanzania who was then celebrating their 70th year as a group. South Africa was talking about their 15th year. So every time ACMA is having the meeting, they would ask Weston, where are your women? So Weston goes, here she is. And so Weston then drags me to Uganda, where they had, by then there was a group called, they were called the Africa Women in Mining. So at that meeting, I then got voted to serve as the chair for Southern Africa Women in Mining. And so 6 years later, I am now the serving president of the Association of Women in Mining in Africa. Thank you. And I also want to use this opportunity because since we formed as WiMAN, and Mr. Nangombe has just left, but I'm so glad he didn't say WiMAN, because that was the other problem we had, because people were thinking that we are being this feminist group and say WiMAN. No, it's WiMAN. Cindy, I hope you're watching. This is what they're telling us about. So when we started the association, of course, the first place we wanted to go and introduce ourselves was the Chamber of Mines, because it was important for us that we recognized by our bosses, really, but we wanted to go. And then, so they brought us on initially, go back one slide, please. They brought us on initially as associate members, which meant you would just be part of the, But I'm proud to announce today that we have just become the co-opted members of the Chambers of Mines of Namibia, or at least we were told that. And I must also highlight the fact that our funding, we depend on fundraising, to do our things. And so, yeah, you can go to the next slide, please. So today, I'm very proud to introduce to you the Women Mining Mentorship of Namibia Mentorship and Coaching Program. One of the first things we did when we took office was to understand the landscape when it came to women in mining. So we launched a situational analysis, and immediately we realized that when we talk women in mining, it's very important to recognize that we are about 4 types of women in mining. There's the women in large-scale mining. That's basically most of us sitting in this room here. Those of us working for large mines. Whether we are CEOs or whether we are geologists, but those in the large-scale mines. We also realized the artisanal small-scale mining, ladies in the artisanal small-scale mining sector and gemstone mining. Then there are the aspiring professionals. The students who want to join women in the mining industry, and then the mining entrepreneurs. Those are the women who provide services in procurement, consulting, etc. And it was very important to group them like that because they each have a different challenge and that have to be addressed and sort of together. But one thing that stood out most sort of glaringly is this issue of unconscious bias. When we talk gender, the first thing that says, when you talk about barriers, you will start thinking about, it's the fact that we are least represented. That's a barrier because they don't understand you. But the biggest thing is unconscious bias, and that limits the growth because as much as the industry is now starting to understand the need to have them here, John very aptly mentioned some of the reasons why we need to be here, but this unconscious bias is actually like a terrible monster that lurks in the background, and if we don't aptly handle it, we are not going to see the desired outcomes that we want to see. So then we then asked ourselves, how are we going to address this? And another thing also was that the industry at that point was facing 2 big problems also. It was the issue of attracting female talent and retaining it. We called it the leaky pipeline because at the beginning stage of the employment sort of pipeline, you would see a lot of females because you've got people like us advocating for it. The ministry was now saying you need to employ more women, etc., etc. So you have many of them. But if you go up the pipeline, or rather up the ladder, as you would put it, the women are disappearing, and we needed to understand why. And the biggest thing that came out of it is that they don't see female leaders, so they're saying it's not even worth it. And I used to work for a diamond mine where you're a geologist at sea, so they couldn't understand, like, how do I make it up there as a leader? So they would then, by the time they come to middle management, even supervisory level, they would jump out. So we took it upon ourselves to write this mentorship program, and I must tell you that I took it quite personal. So this program is personally drafted by me. It belongs to all of us here. I sat in consultation with the EXCO, sat with the academics, and also then started comparing it to my peers in the international women in mining community. My peers now sitting watching me live there, and then we then started crafting this thing slowly but surely. And then what does the next slide say? Yes, then we decided that actually we needed to have a program that hinges on three very important pillars. So you need mentorship. You need them to be guided by somebody who's already in the industry. And then you need leadership coaching, and that's why in this room here I've got three amazing coaches. One of them who's my personal coach, Priscilla Hai, who will then have one-on-one sessions with these ladies. Then talk about professional about leadership development. We also going to, Mekauna, I'm glad you're here, because BFS we will also approach you about as much as we grow in these rooms and in these sectors, financial planning is something that we're also lacking. Understanding finances, especially when you're talking about the woman in the artisanal small scale mining sector and us in the entrepreneurial part, and how do we unlock those part the nuances when it comes to funding application. What does funding look like for business in mining? So we'll be doing that in leadership coaching. And then here's my favorite part. When I was researching about unconscious bias, I realized that this thing is actually, your mind starts to get boggled at the age of 9 to 10 already. So how do we ensure that by the time Malaika, Tuli, Imani, Reagan, and Damien are at university or even industry level, that we don't have to have another association to tell them on what should be done, what shouldn't be done. So we are looking at establishing STEM clubs in 5 regions, depending on how much money we can raise in Namibia. And this is also, Mr. Fortune, why you are here, because we will be looking at high schools and primary schools to establish these STEM clubs, to then start talking about, to show a young boy child and a young girl child that they can actually do this together, that there will be no female geologists and male geologists talk in 10, 15 years from now. Because we believe change must begin early. So why does this program matter? Why mentorship program and now? Because I personally believe that behind every empowered woman, there's a village. And this village is of mentors, coaches, peers, and believers who show up and speak for them. I currently stand on the shoulders of those who have mentored me. There are 2 watching online, Georgette Bansakiado from Ghana and Pascaline Omba. When I joined the Association of Women in Mining in Africa, those 2 ladies took me under their wing and literally showed me the ropes. Sometimes we can get very angry when we don't get, or when we're not heard. And they would literally teach me how to communicate what I want to communicate without getting too emotional about it. So those were the network of women behind me. Locally, I am being mentored by Charlotte and Nora, who and we need that. We need each other, you know. So we wrote a program that will do that. The problem is that many mentorship programs are written, but it's not a Namibian product. So you don't understand the fabric of the Namibian woman. I know when we were talking with Bio, they were saying, oh, you know what? We have ladies from IWIM and from WIM UK who wouldn't mind joining you. And I'm like, no, that's great. But I think we want to do a local Isleka thing for now. So we understand each other's backgrounds and differences. It will be easy to mentor you. I was mentored. I joined the IWIM mentorship program. I actually won that program. It was worth £800, I believe it was at that point, but I got it for free because I had to motivate. And they linked me up with, she was at that point the CEO of the equivalent of Chambers of Mines of Australia. And we would, across timelines, she would guide me, but there was one particular thing we just couldn't cross. And it came to the organizational culture, because they do things differently. And eventually it became a reciprocal mentoring program where I would teach her or tell her how we do things here in Namibia or in Africa, and she would understand from other perspectives. So now when she comes to do business in Namibia, she understands the landscape when it comes to gender. So it was quite important for us, especially for the beginning cohort, to do something that is local. So so the program is about more than just pairing mentors with mentees, because what we will do through the program, I think, Bayo, you will talk about the platform later on. When our members sign up and they apply for the mentorship program, we will be able to match them with a particular mentee, because one of the things we always get wrong is to match somebody with the wrong mentor, and that can also break what you want to achieve. So we will look at the profiles. When we get enough money, we're actually going to do psychometric matching of the mentor and the mentees with each other. Why does it matter? So yeah, it's a full circle moment, and we've spoken right throughout the morning about how mentees become mentors. At the event we hosted last weekend, go back one slide, I'm not there yet. At the event we had last weekend, it was so beautiful for me to see Kesha Kariko being approached by her younger ones and say, can you mentor me? And why this stands out for me is because 7 years ago, when we launched the Northern chapter, she came up to me and said, Osi, can you mentor me? And today that has turned around. So now it's the same thing we want to do. And one of the questions that CCC asked us is, how will you make sure it's sustainable? And that's one of our strategies, is to ensure that we train the trainer. So the mentee will then become the mentor. So that it's a continuous thing, not just for now. But allow me to speak candidly. Now you can go to the next slide. This program cannot survive on just my passion or that of Nora's and that of Charlotte's and Minzo. We have estimated this program to cost about 3.85 million. And that's a very conservative estimate. It's a lot of money, because these things can't be done for free. We have to travel and establish these STEM clubs. It requires us to cover the cost of mentors. Coaches don't come for free either, isn't it, Estelle? You have to pay these coaches. And as much as we want to do this thing as a national duty, we got to eat too, so we need this to be funded. So as I stand here, I'm really pleading and making a strong call for action to everybody in this room. If you are here representing a bank, representing the industry, the ministry they've just left, but with the backing, we really need you to fund this program. What we did, next slide, please. As we usually do, when we start a new initiative, we approach the Chamber of Mines and say, hey guys, we want to do this thing. We want to launch this mentorship program. We've been talking about it for years. And every time we go do what is that annual thing where we go see the patron, we're like, yeah, it's still a flagship project, but we haven't kicked it off yet. So we approached the chamber, and two things was said to me. And he asked a very bold but fair question. Why start a movement if you can't fund it? In other words, why do you want to do all of these things? Why do you want to have an association for women in mining if your members don't even want to do it? And I must tell you, Weston, that really, it as my daughter would say, that's low-key kind of crazy. I was like, what does he mean? What does he mean? Why can't you fund yourself? But it's the reality, yeah. But it made me understand. It brought so much clarity to the fact that when ideas may be powerful, but without resources, those ideas wither. So, which is why I really, really want to express my deepest appreciation to John, Next slide, please. To John and his team, Consolidated Copper, CCC. I've been this my tongue twister since we've started talking about this contract. I really, really, really want to say thank you because you took a chance with us. You didn't say we are just supporting women in mining. You decided you want to prove it. They gave us the seed funding and they are paying for this fabulous event right now. And this isn't a cheap thing. I mean, there's live streaming this. We're at the Hilton, guys. And they said, we're going to do this for you. I mean, yes, James, if you're watching, we've been bashing heads for the past couple of weeks because initially because we had that mindset of it's not going to happen. So I was preparing myself the following year again to go into the patron's office and say, it hasn't happened yet, but you took a chance with us. And I really want to thank you for that. But I think most specifically, one of the things I want to thank you for, especially you, Bio, is introducing us to the Peer Pioneers Digital Mentorship platform. One of the things our members ask us is, what is the benefit of paying membership fees? Now, this platform will not just be used for us to be doing mentoring and mentorshiping each other on, but it will be a resource. There will be a resource center where we can then put any motivational ideas, any jobs that are coming up, but any other planning will be done on this platform, and it's unique to women in mining in Namibia. And unique to Africa, unique in the world, actually. So well done. Thank you very much. And this is not just charity. This is leadership, and this is system building. I really, really, really have to. I told Bio, wait till I blow you guys up. Thank you. I cannot say that enough. And then as I conclude, next slide, please. We keep on saying we want to have a gender-inclusive mining industry. We keep on saying we want to see more women in mining. We keep on saying we want to see the grassroots coming up and et cetera, et cetera. But I'm here to say that, and also we keep on saying we want to empower the African child. But if we don't put money, or if we don't translate words into action, in other words, if words don't translate into budget lines, into collaborations, into accountability, nada. It will not make sense. So this program is a vehicle to do exactly that. And we invite all of you, especially from the private sector, to help us partner with the government on achieving this goal. So come on board, because when women rise, and this is not even a cliche, it's a fact. John has just reiterated, when women rise, industries evolve. When young people are inspired, economies thrive. And when we invest in mentorship, we are not just changing careers, we are changing nations. So let's do this together. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, what did I say about speaking after a speaker that leaves just some sort of energy in the room? Another round of applause, please. Ladies and gentlemen, I will have to just make a quick announcement. Honorable Cornelia unfortunately has to leave us. She has to attend to another equally important emergency. I mean, she can go to what powerhouses do, please. So can we just also give her a round of applause, please? Young people, next time, don't forget to take pictures with her. Don't worry. Okay. Next on our program, let's welcome the Voices of Change mentors and mentees reflecting on the mentorship program. Welcome with me, Ms. Shanika. Ms. Shanika is currently employed by DEP Marine Namibia, and she will also be a mentor. A round of applause, please.
Good afternoon to you all. It's afternoon already, Mr. Weston. In the sort of cognizance of time, I was told just a minute. Express yourself in just a minute. I talk just like her, so I have to make it really just a minute. So before I introduce myself and give you a minute of my experience as a mentee and a mentor, I'd like to stand on all protocol observed. So I am Ndawe Dapo Shanika, and I am a geostatistician for a mining house in Namibia. 20 years ago, it's been 20 years, Zenzia, 20 years ago, armed with a geology degree, I had this vision that I'm going to change the face of women in the mines in Namibia. So you can imagine what the mining houses looked like 20 years ago. Very few that look like you and I. So armed with this fantastic degree, I realized quickly I've got a great theoretical background, but I don't have the nuances how to navigate the mining industry. Some of those are not taught at school. Those nuances and the languages that you learn are by speaking to people, batting heads with the mining engineers because they think they know geology and you're the geologist, batting heads with the chemical people, the metallurgists. That language, I realized I didn't have that, and school did not equip me for that. All right. That now was the role of the mentor. I quickly learned I need to speak to somebody and ask, how do I make this work? How do I make this guy who's been working here for 20 years who tells me, young lady, you know nothing? Right? That's why I went to look for a mentor. I've been quite fortunate to have been a mentee, and also I carry the baton to be a mentor. So what are the benefits of a program like this one? To summarize it, programs like this provide linkages between the inexperienced and the experienced, right? They give us confidence, right? They give us support, right? And they allow us to have those conversations where you say, this man is as old as my dad. How do I approach him and tell him that he's done the wrong thing, right? So really, I'm not going to take up so much time. I'm going to speak to the young ones. I think the young ones were around here. Just 3 words for you and yourself, moderator. 3 words for you, or 3 sentences. Be bold. Be bold. Be audacious. Know what you want and reach out to people. Everybody's busy. Everybody's busy. Reach out. I just need 5 minutes of your time. Reach out, right? Be bold, be audacious. And importantly, manage your career. As your mentor, I will not manage your career for you. But you need to make time and meet with me so I can help you navigate some of these nuances in the mining industry. I'm quite privileged too to have my mentee sitting on the other side there. So to echo Honorable Shilunga's words and also Ms. Zenzi is we need to have mentees who transition into mentors. And that's my call to you. Thank you.
Another round of applause for Ms. Shanika, please. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to welcome Ms. Shanika spoke from a perspective of a mentor. We also have 3 graduates, young students from NUST who will be speaking from a perspective of mentees. I didn't get their names, but please can we also give them a round of applause? I think they will come 3 one by one. So the first one will then come and just speak from a perspective of a mentee, and then we can allow for the next.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Rode Ingo, a final year metallurgy student from University of Science and Technology. I'm so honored. It's a pleasure being here in a room filled with people whose realities are my dreams. I'm looking for growth through mentorship and industry involvement. Being here today is truly inspiring because I'm eager to learn from professionals who have paved their ways through into the industry. I believe mentorship is powerful. It helps us transition confidently into the industry, and I'm here to build those connections. I want to grow professionally, and I'm here to find guidance as I prepare to enter the workforce. To me, mentorship is about growth. It's having someone who believes in your potential, someone who stretches someone who helps you stretch what you believe, what you think is impossible. It helps us transition from being students to being professionals. Mentorship empowers us to learn from professionals who have faced similar challenges and they have found success. As a final year metallurgy student, I feel like it's prominent to have someone who have been through this journey, who have faced similar challenges, who have stepped on the same thorns that I'm currently stepping on, especially particularly a woman, looking at someone who stepped on the same stones that I'm currently stepping on will add much value to my career, insight, and inspiration. Mentorship boosts confidence. It helps us build connections and guides us in making smarter career choices. Most importantly, mentorship shows us that we are not alone. Our dreams are valid and we can achieve them. Thank you.
Okay, another round of applause for our young lady, please. Before I call on the next student, I quickly had to go by her to just confirm if she's ready, because I know public speaking is not for everyone, hey? And it can get quite nervous. So I told her, you know, when you get to the podium, just say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a bit nervous, so that we can just laugh it off and then make her comfortable. So, ladies and gentlemen, please can we welcome our next student who's gonna speak. Remember, she's nervous, so let's make her comfortable.
Thank you. Good afternoon to everyone in the room. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. I'm actually very nervous, like as she said, which is very odd for someone that is an extrovert. I talk a lot, but yes, public speaking is not for everyone, okay? My name is Hilia Haipinge. I am a final year metallurgical engineering undergraduate at the Namibia University of Science and Technology. Let me just give you a little background about myself. I have been an intern before, so I have been in the industry before, and I know the pressure on being a lady in the industry. It's not easy. You are undermined. They feel like she's not strong enough. You know, they don't even give you the task sometimes because they feel like she's a woman. She cannot handle the pressure. But I just wanted to be given a platform to prove myself that I can do equally what a man can. Okay, okay, moving on. I'm also a cohort in the Women Inch, WoomHub, Southern Africa. I joined this year, so it's still new to me, but I know how it feels to have a mentor and being a mentee, even though I'm still grasping the whole concept. To me, personally, I feel like having a mentor is basically bridging theory with practical, because in university you have this 4 years of cramming a lot of knowledge, honestly, especially when it comes to metallurgy, because they expect you to be a multitasker. Whatever industry you're put in, you're expected to know the processing and so forth. But many times we go in industry and we don't have soft skills. We don't know how to enter a room and speak to people. So I personally believe that mentorship gives us the access to real world knowledge that we can't get from our textbooks. And also, like I said, it's the bridge between theory and industry for someone with little to no industrial experience as well. And as well as mentorship guides our footsteps, it helps us, especially as women, to avoid making mistakes, to make better decisions and navigate challenges more confidently. Like as Ms. Cornelia Shilonga said, let today's mentees be tomorrow's mentor. I aspire to mentor someone someday. I wouldn't just want to gather knowledge and take it, apply it for myself, and that's it. Yes, I might be great out there, but I want someone to also learn from me as I have learned from someone. I also had the privilege of having a female mentor in the industry. My supervisor is a female, she's an engineer. I was an intern at Navajo Gold Mine, which was a very good experience. So, yeah, I know how it feels. I have the experience of the pressure of people expecting you to prove yourself 10 times more than a man does. I know that pressure. I have been there. So I truly appreciate this platform and I do not take it lightly. Thank you so much.
Was she really nervous though?
No, she was not.
Another round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen. Next on our program, we have the Chamber of Mines remarks. Now, please help me welcome Mr. George Putsiwe, who is the president of the Chamber of Mines and the CEO of QKR Navagap Namibia.
Good afternoon. As you heard, we at Navagap are also taking the lead together with John. Yeah, but with all seriousness, if you look at right now at Navagap, we've got, I think, about excess of 90 interns from all the different universities and all the different technical colleges. Yeah, that's what we do. To the formal speech. Thank you, Director of Ceremony. Much appreciated. Honorable Cornelia Shilonga, in your absence, Special Advisor to the President and Patron of the Women in Mining Association of Namibia. Mr. Ben Nangombe, also in his absence, the ED and Accounting Officer from the Ministry of Industries, Mines and Energy. Mr. John Sisay, CEO of Consolidated Copper Corp. Ms. Zenzi, our sis, I must tell you, I can tell you lots of stories about Zenzi, how she comes to my office, but for another day, I will tell you. President of the Association of Women Mining in Africa, and President of Women Association in Namibia. Present here today, and members from the academia, members from the Women in Mining, esteemed members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, let me also stand on the protocol that was established by the previous speakers, especially from Honorable Shilonga. I think she did a brilliant job in establishing the protocol. I bring you a warm chamber greetings on this Friday. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm humbled to stand here today to make brief remarks on behalf of the Chamber of Mines of Namibia. The Chamber is grateful for this invitation to witness yet another milestone in the evolution of Women in Mining Association of Namibia. Zenzi, Nora, and the rest of your team, congratulations for entering into this partnership with Consolidated Copper to roll out a mentoring and coaching program. Consolidated Copper is a strong chamber member. In fact, it is one of the founding members of the Chamber of Mines way back in 1969 under the then TCL period. To my colleague John, I say that you have done the mining industry proud, and the Chamber is well proud in supporting the Women in Mining Association of Namibia in this way. I can only encourage my fellow MDs and CEOs of the mining houses to follow the lead Consolidated Copper has set. The event we are witnessing here today is the beginning of an ambitious program by Women in Mining Association of Namibia. They have consulted the Chamber on the proposed mentorship and coaching program and have preliminary discussions with Ms. Zenzi and the Chamber CEO on how best the program can be implemented in an efficient and impactful and cost-effective manner. The Chamber is pleased to note that such engagements are beginning to bear fruit. The position of the Chamber is that the objectives of the Women in Mining Association of Namibia are fully aligned with the Chamber of Mines objectives. Hence, we can come together to achieve our common goal. Collaboration is key to ensuring that women are empowered with skills and experience to enable them to advance in their career paths to position of leadership in the mining industry, right up to the boardroom. As of 2024, the mining industry employed over 9,000 permanent employees and thousands more with various contractors, and over 97% of those are Namibian citizens, with just under 3% being on work permits. This speaks volume of the skills transfer in the mining industry, and above all, a strong testament that this highly capital-intensive industry is run by Namibians. The challenge we have is the conspicuously low numbers of women in leadership positions. As a Chamber, we are aware of this, and it's something that we are working hard to rectify as a Chamber and as an industry. This program is therefore timely and has the full blessings and full support of the Chamber of Mines. Our wish to encourage the leadership of the Women Mining Association of Namibia to continue engaging with the mines to seek similar partnerships. The Women in Mining Association of Namibia is a full member of the Chamber of Mines, as Zenzi pointed out earlier. And therefore, it got access to all the mines in Namibia. The association enjoys support from the Chamber in several ways, including the usage of the Chamber office facilities. The Chamber premises are, in actual fact, the registered office of the Women Association in Namibia. Let us utilize the leverages we already have to advance the upliftment and greater participation of our women in mining at all levels. In closing, I wish to state that this event should be the beginning of many partnerships to be established between Women in Mining Association of Namibia and the various mines around the country under the umbrella of the Chamber of Mines of Namibia. All I can say to Zenzi and the rest of you is that watch this space. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
Thank you so much. Another round of applause, please. Watch the space, guys. Watch the space. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I forgot to announce, the ED also unfortunately had to leave us. He left, I think, 45 minutes ago. I just forgot to announce it, so I'm just announcing it now. Moving forward in our program, this is also where I'm going to love and leave you. No, I'm not leaving. I'm just giving it over to someone else for the next session of the program. We'll be speaking on the platform introduction. Mr. Bayo from the Consolidated Copper Corp will introduce the Peer Pioneers Mentoring Platform, a digital space supporting our journey. He is the Corporate Communications Officer of CCC. Future me. After this degree, future me. Yes. A round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow. How do I follow that? Well, Zenzi, you've definitely found a style and a future style, 100%. Good morning, everyone. Oh, morning, sorry. Good afternoon, everyone. And just like to say, this fantastic day of the launch of the Women in Mining Mentoring Platform. It's a really proud moment. It's a big moment for us, and it's an amazing moment working with Zenzi. And some of the people that brought this program together, just like to acknowledge them. Zenzi, Nora, Charlotte, where is she? And, oh, there's your coffee at the back. And obviously from our team as well, the strong women working at CCC, Yolande and Sonia as well. If you could like to give them all a round of applause. Thank you. With the Peer Pioneers platform, it's supported by CCC and powered by Peer Pioneers. Some of you might ask, what is Peer Pioneers? It's a mentoring platform, and it's something that can go to scale. So it doesn't matter if you're starting with a small cohort or, or you have, 100 people on it. It scales with, it scales with you and it grows. We put this platform together in terms of it's good to work with, obviously, we've just heard from third-year university students who are in remote areas. So your mentor can be in Windhoek, or it could be in another town. It doesn't really matter. Once you're on the platform, because it's cloud-based, you can, bring that mentoring program together and obviously, carry on in that sort of sense. The platform itself is basically, it's a way of basically growing mentoring programs. And what we like to, obviously on our part from CCC, we like to encourage the drive for diversity in terms of gender diversity and obviously empowering the next female leaders for the future. If we can just start with the slide for just to give you an overall, just so I can see it from here. Okay, so what you have over here basically is just the homepage. Over here is the notice board. That's where the community sort of ask questions. So it could be a mentor, mentee, and also for peers. I mean, I've heard a lot of stories. Zenzi mentioned once that she was speaking about the cultural thing about mentoring someone who came into Namibia. That's obviously reverse mentoring, which is really big. And this is what we can encourage in that sort of sense. So you can learn from your peers and also build that, build on that. So what we've got is the notice board. This is just for display purposes, obviously. And then that will be public. So everyone who's a mentor mentee could be able to see that in the community. And then on the left, you have the private messaging, which is between you and the mentor, over there with the messaging over there. You have to be connected. So if you initiate the connection, you can then start communicating in that sort of sense. We have a task, because I think a lot of mentors, it's about time management. They're very busy. They're very, very busy. And we want to sort of manage that time for them. So we have the task bar where you can, set the task with a specific dates. And if they don't make those dates, it will flash in red. So you can both monitor each other. Or if it's obviously achieved, it will be in green. So, that it's been completed. So this is the way we want to sort of measure it going forward. And, in that sort of sense. The next slide, please. Oh, I didn't mention, sorry, back there. On the right is the mobile side of it. So it's a mobile first. So what we like to do is when you get a message, in your email box, you don't have to be online. You can just click on the link on your email and it opens up the platform for you. So you don't have to be on the platform all the time to be notified or to know what's going on. The next slide. I think we all mentioned about matching. I think we mentioned about a psychometric test, but this is a bit more of a basic one. This is like more of a smart match. So if I'm a geologist and someone else, a third-year student is studying geology, it will smartly match them together. Engineering, processing, it will say these are the recommended people to be, matched with. But you don't have to follow that. So you can go to the next slide, please. You can search on the profile and find your match. It's not a dating site, sorry. Find your match, sorry, wrong word. Find the appropriate profile that matches you. Sorry, that matches you. over there in terms of industry background and things like that. Thank you. Next slide. This is the scheduling. This is we mentioned time management. So if we want to schedule a meeting, or it's in yellow at the moment because it hasn't been accepted. So there's 3 options. There's a green, which has been approved. You have the red, which is declined, and so forth. This is obviously also on Outlook Express, so it can be pre-populated in your Outlook Express with both of you, so it can keep your calendars going. I don't have a slide for the Resource Center, but Zenzi's already spoken about that. So the Resource Center is where you can upload material, video, audio, any learning materials you want to upload, and your mentees can go over there at their will to get that kind of information. The last slide. The last part is more for the measuring and tracking, basically. So we can know who's using it, how often they're using it, who's falling behind. These are the kind of things, so we want to encourage engagement. And that engagement is what really, make it really successful. So with all these, this is more for the bird's eye view, so they can monitor, who's doing well. And if they need that extra support, they can pick it up from there. We've got an events page, so you can list up any events that's coming up that's relevant in the industry, and obviously a jobs page. So any jobs that from different organizations want to put up there, they're more than welcome to. Okay. That's the last slide for me because I know we're running behind schedule. I don't want to keep you away from your lunch, and so for the next part now, we're going to go on to the signing ceremony, so you can just take some photos, and then the last part will just be a Q&A from the media. Okay, thank you. Taking your pictures. Just for the last part, the media. So with the questions, the question and answer session, if you can state your name, your organization, and please keep your question quite concise. So obviously we can, move things on to the last part of this program. And we'll be finishing after the questions and answer session, and we'll be going upstairs for lunch. Thank you. Do we have any questions?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Evan Nashkutova. I work for Refrain, which is an AI automation agency. I have a question regarding the system that Ioni, hopefully I'm pronouncing it right, was showing us. You mentioned that you guys do psychrometric analysis. Yeah, you mentioned that you match the mentor with the mentee with the mentor using some sort of psychrometric analysis or so. So I just want to ask, how comprehensive is the psychrometric analysis? Is the thing of where you match an enthusiast with an analyst, or how do you go about matching it in that sense?
The match is just for industry. or particular topic areas. So it's not quite psychometric in that sort of sense. It's not the background of the individual. I think Zenzi mentioned that going forward, they're going to do the psychometric, yeah, that's what they're going to do going forward, the psychometric side of it. Any questions?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Ogito Craig. I write for Republican newspaper and NMH group of media companies here in Windhoek. I've just got one question. I'd like to know how much the seed funding sponsorship was. Thank you very much.
With regard to that question with the seed funding, because of this partnership, we don't make that public, unfortunately. Exactly. We want other people to put money over there as well. So we're not mentioning on this occasion anyway, we're not mentioning the financial commitment that CCC made. Thank you. I speak on behalf of both of you. Any other questions? Lunch? And that's a wrap. Thank you.